Hello, this is the presentation for interpersonal communication assignment number 4, completed by Matt Dewson and Danielle Andrew. Our presentation is based on chapter number 7, listening, specifically types of ineffective listening and why we don't listen better. The types of listening are all based around behaviors that many use often. Although ineffective listening to a degree is inevitable and understandable, being aware of these types of behaviors can help one avoid them in situations where full effective listening is essential. The first type of ineffective listening is known as pseudo-listening. This is when a receiver looks attentive and appears to be listening to whoever is sending the message, but in reality their mind is elsewhere. Pseudo-listening can be accompanied by several gestures, such as looking the messenger in the eye, nodding and smiling at appropriate times, and in some cases, a reply. Pseudo-listeners ignore for a variety of reasons, such as being occupied by something more important, thinking that they have heard what is being said before, or simply just being bored of the topic. In what is known as stage hogging, the receiver is more concerned with making a point than understanding the speaker, and they illustrate this by trying to turn conversations to themselves rather than listening to what the speaker actually has to say. Shift response is a type of strategy used in stage hogging in which the stage hogger or conversational narcissist shifts the focus of the conversation to them. An example would be two people who are working out at the gym. The speaker is person A, and the narcissist is person B. Person A says, "I love running on the treadmill." Person B replies, "I think running is a waste of time. Lifting weights is more important." Person A then says, "Yeah, weightlifting is important. I like using the preacher curl machine." Person B replies, finally, "That's an okay exercise, but deadlifts, which I am doing next, are a real exercise." In the previous example, it is clear that the narcissist feels his or her opinions are more important, using shift response in both replies to focus the conversation around his or her topic of desire. The next type of ineffective listening is selective listening. This is familiar to most people, as we often hear colleagues, family, or friends who identify you or someone you know as having selective hearing. Selective listening is a listening style where the receiver only responds to messages that interest them. So an example would be when you're at home lying on the couch watching TV. Your mom or dad says several things they want you to do, such as cleaning your room, take out the trash, and washing the dishes, and in all three instances you neither budge or respond and instead continue watching the TV. An hour or so later, your mom says that dinner is ready and it's on the table. You immediately jump up and say okay, and go to the table and you start eating.
After discussing the several types of ineffective listening skills, it's evident that we listen carefully a very small percentage of the time. This next topic will describe some of the specific reasons of why we don't listen better. The first one is due to a message overload. In our daily lives, we typically encounter a large amount of speech which requires extensive listening. It is frequent that we encounter about 5 hours of speech in any one day. Keeping ourselves focused for this amount of time is impossible. The next reason why we may not listen effectively is due to our rapid thoughts. Listening carefully is also physiologically difficult, and because we have the capacity to understand up to 600 words per minute while only speaking about 150 words per minute, we are left with a lot of spare time, and we use this spare time to distract ourselves with personal interests and daydreaming. The key is to focus on using this spare time to comprehend the speaker's ideas and not our own. Listening carefully requires effort. This is another reason why we tend to not listen properly. This is illustrated by the changes in our bodies similar to those during physical stress. Our heart rate, respiration, and temperature all rise. It should come as no surprise that after a long day of studying or listening to lectures, you could be left exhausted. Faulty assumptions. We often mistakenly make assumptions that are incorrect, which lead us to believe that we are listening effectively when we aren't. An example being how when a topic of discussion is familiar to us, we may think the speaker's thoughts are too complex or too simple, and the best way to remedy this is to try and pay close attention to compensate for our assumptions. The last challenge of listening that we will discuss is media influences. Mass media such as the TV, internet, and radio have a growing number of short segments. These discourage focused attention necessary for careful listening. Examples of these would be commercials, news items, infomercial, blogs, YouTube, and so on. In conclusion, we can see there are many reasons why we can't listen better, and because of these, it is inevitable that we will run into ineffective listening in our daily lives. So remember, the next time someone doesn't quite catch everything you say, try not to get so mad, because it is likely that from one time or another, we also will not hear everything that someone says to us. This concludes our video. Thanks for watching.